So just before I get in and start to do my routing of my hot and cold water to my fixtures here, what I want to do is have a quick look at the system browser. In Revit MEP, there's a tool specially built in that isn't available with Revit Structure and Revit Architecture objects and components. The big difference is really the system browser, and you can have a look at the CAD Clips webpage for and search on our Revit Clips page for system browser or the word browser or system. So what happens is as you add components into Revit, if they are mechanical MEP objects, they come with these wonderful little connectors in here, and they're special objects where they want to belong to a system. If they don't belong to a system, they go to what is called an undefined system. So to have a look at that system, we hit F9 on the keyboard. So we hit F9. Oh, Revit's asking me to save. I'm just going to hit cancel. F9 on the keyboard brings up the system browser. And inside of here, you're going to see, and you can collapse and open these. Right now, it's sorting by system. You can also sort by zone. So in here, there's 215 items in this project, and you have to realize that in this project, we have kind of cropped off a lot of the other items, but this is a big project, so there's all kinds of stuff. And once again, this is a file that's provided by Autodesk as a sample file, and it's far from perfect and not really to be compared to what is done in the industry. However, it's a good example. So you can see here it has unassigned 215 items, mechanical 55 items, piping 17 systems, electrical 190 systems. So what we're concerned with mainly is piping. Now this object is part of the mechanical system as well as the electrical system as well as the piping. So this particular piece of equipment happens to belong to all of these ahead of time, and it gets categorized in here. But you'll notice that, for instance, if we go in, for instance, let's go to piping. And inside of there we have a domestic cold water. We have a domestic cold water 1, a domestic hot water 1, fire protection, hydronic, level 1 hydronic and all that stuff, sanitary 1. So inside of these are individual systems. And inside of these systems, it shows you the components that are in there. Domestic cold water is made up of domestic cold water 2, and if I pick on here, it's actually going to highlight that object in the model. And you can see that is a little bit of a rogue object because it's not grouped in the unassigned, because then it wouldn't belong to any system. But what it is it's part of its own little private little system. So domestic cold water 2, let's just keep an eye on that. Then we have domestic cold water 1. Pick on here, aha, domestic cold water 1. If we pick on there, look at that nice big box that we see, and it also highlights all these objects including the sinks, and I can zoom in here if I want. Okay, so it's showing a little dotted box around all of the components, but you'll notice that it's not including this guy as far as domestic cold water, and that's simply because that object needs to be added to the system. But if you pick on these individual objects within that system, it's going to pick them. But you'll also notice that as you pick them, if that particular element is part of other systems, it's also going to highlight the other systems. Okay, because a sink is part of hot water and cold water and sanitary. So as I pick this lavatory, you'll see that it actually highlights where it resides in other categories, which is really nice. So if I pick on this guy once again, he's going to highlight in here, but he's going to go, it's bidirectional, I believe. He's going to highlight up here. So he's kind of sitting in his own system. So I want to move this guy to the cold water system of all of these guys. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick on this cold water system in my system browser. You can't really do any editing within here, but you can select objects. So cold water system, and then I'm going to go up here and say edit system. Now I can see what's in. Oh, look, even this water closet isn't in there. So I can add to the system. I can remove. basically it's like a big group. So I'm going to say add to system this guy and this guy. You have selected elements that are already part of another system. They will be removed from the original system. Thank you. Click out. See how they're all nicely positioned in there? And then I hit finish. Perfect. Isn't that wonderful? So now it's gone from the other system. So that's one of the things we can do. Let's work our way down. Domestic hot water system. Sure enough, hot water heater tank. There it is. Okay, you'll notice it highlights other categories in our system browser because this happens to have electrical connections. It also has cold water. And it also happens to have an unassigned item in there. I'm not going to mine down in it that far. However, that isn't anything of great interest. And what we want to have a look at is, let's just close this off for a second. We want to have a look at our hot water piping, domestic hot water. Click on here. There we go. Domestic hot water buried down in there. So now we can see that it's highlighted this piece of equipment and these 4 sinks. So in fact, I think we're okay. Okay, because when you go in and try to do your auto generate, it's going to try to generate pipes from these connectors to these objects. So you can add and remove these objects to the systems. You can also grab objects just right in Revit and you'll go up and say create system and it'll create a system. The pipes are the objects that connect the systems, the pipes and the wires and the duct work in MEP, but they're part of the system, but they're part of the system because of where they're going. They defer to the fixtures that they're connecting to. That's part of it. Okay, so right now I think we've kind of got that cleared up. So we've got our domestic hot water. Now there's all kinds of other systems inside of here. What do we have? Sanitary. Sanitary system we pick on here and everything looks good. You can see they all have a little box and they're all highlighted. If I say edit system, I'll see that this is not part of the sanitary system, but these guys are all part of the sanitary system. Okay. And looks like I need to add a pipe here. Now, this might be because that wasn't part of that cold water system. I'm not sure why that pipe isn't highlighted. And it's not really allowing me to add those in. So I'm not going to get too carried away with adding the pipes to the system. And I don't think you can do it through this system browser anyway. You have to actually just pick on the pipe and add it to the system. So sanitary 1. But I can hit finish on here and click out. Now let me just check on if I pick on that little piece of pipe, it says it's on sanitary 1. And if I pick on this piece of pipe, it says it's on sanitary 1. So I seem to be on track with that. Okay. Picking on the objects, and then you can change, when you change this system, it's going to change over here. Okay. So the fixtures themselves are set up to be hot water, cold water, sanitary, etc. And then what you do is you group them together into actual systems. And then Revit's smart enough to know what connectors are on each individual family. Okay. And then lastly, you can go in and use the auto routing, which works okay with duct work. With piping, it's a little bit different. So for instance, you could pick on here, and if you were to, for instance, let's say we wanted to auto route or route all the hot water from here to here. Okay, I would suggest you do it manually, which we'll do in the next couple of lessons. But you could go in here and go find that cold water system in here. Domestic cold water. Okay, you could grab that system like that. No, I want domestic hot water, sorry. There we go. And I could go right up to here and say generate layout. Boom. Pick on here. It's going to try to generate a layout. From there, I can actually go in and pick on here. And I can say edit that. And I can pick on this pipe, and it's just kind of the main trunk. And I can pick on here, and I can move this. Okay, and I can pick on here. It's a little bit clunky, but you can go in and edit this stuff. The same as we showed you with the ductwork stuff. So minor tweaking with this way isn't bad. You can also change the elevation of it, but you can't seem to do more than one at a time. So you could pick on here, and let's say we change that elevation to be 1500. We could do that. That brings that down, but then I need to go down to here and change this to be 1500. Okay, then I need to pick on here, and okay, so the elevation of this could very well be inherited from our piping settings. Okay, so you can, go in and do some auto routing this way and hit finish, and it'll actually go in and put those pipes in there for you. We're going to talk more about system and auto routing and stuff like that. So I mean, technically, you can go in and you can, create that set of pipes, and you can pick on here after the fact and change the elevation, stuff like that. So you can generate pipes based on the actual system. I find it works a little better with ductwork than piping, but not a big deal. So again, I can hit tab, 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 pick, and then delete. Get rid of that. So this is the system browser. It really is the nerve center of the MEP information and systems, and we can hit exit on there. We can also get it back by going up to the View tab, Interface, System Browser. Okay, that'll bring it back, or F9 on the keyboard toggles it on and off. You can show multiple disciplines. You can say, I only want to see piping. It's always going to show you the unassigned stuff. So what's unassigned? Cold water. Okay, there's a lavatory. No, it just doesn't happen to be in this view, but somewhere in the model that object is highlighted. So as you add components to the Revit model, until you place it into a system, it goes into unassigned. Okay, and we do have lots of CAD clips, even if they're a little bit older, on the system browser and how this works. So I can say only show me electrical systems, only show me mechanical systems, return air, exhaust air, makeup air, all that good stuff. So we can organize this. You can't do any actual editing within here, okay? But what you can do is you can highlight the objects and pick it and do the editing outside of here. Okay, so let's go back to piping again. Domestic hot water. Pick on here. If you pick on here, I believe you can right click and say show me. Can we not say show me? It automatically highlights, but I thought there was a means of, there it is, right click, show, boom. It's going to show you that object. And I believe it should zoom you to it. Yes, there you go, close. So you can go in and pick on an object individually and right click. It seems to depend on, I'm right clicking here, there you go, show. Boom, and it'll actually zoom you to that particular component. Okay, so I can't guarantee it'll show you if the category's been turned off, but you can right click. So there's a lot of, this is a really good interface. No actual editing gets done in here, but it definitely gives you access to all the objects. Once again, as you place components and fixtures and ductworks and VAV units and light fixtures and data drops and security cameras and all that good stuff, it's all getting placed in here. It's all getting placed in here. And until you put it into an actual Revit system, it gets filed in here. Once it gets put into a system, it moves down into here. Wonderful tool, the system browser. There's your introduction. Bye for now.